Good afternoon and good Saturday, everybody. My name is Miguel, aka Mighty Migs, and this is Passion for Acting podcast, episode number 6. 3 plus 3 equals 6. And we have a special guest today, and she's not only an actor, but she's also a filmmaker. And please welcome aboard Sangeetha Gowda.
Hello.
Hey, good to have you on board. Yes, you know
Awesome
what?
to be here.
Hey, look, pleasure's all mine as well because it takes two to tango in this context. But before we go ahead, I'd like to mention that this podcast episode is actually sponsored by Sydney Actors Association. So visit their Instagram page on the description box below. And if you're an actor who's actually looking to sharpen his craft, and just reach out to this Instagram profile and tell them that Mighty Mix from Passion for Acting podcast actually sent you. So yeah, but without further ado, we'd like to welcome her aboard. Please give us an introduction about yourself as a person and as an actor.
Hey, so yeah, I'm Sangeetha. So I'm an actor from Sydney. Well, I'm based in Sydney now. Yeah, and I'm also a filmmaker. So I make my own work, writing, directing, producing, editing through Noah Films, which I run with my partner, Marshall, who's also an actor.
Awesome. Yes. So, so you're an actor and filmmaker. I mean, if you had to choose one of the other two, which one would you choose first?
I would say acting. I mean, acting's probably it was my passion before fully going into filmmaking. But as these days, the amount of filmmaking I do and the more I kind of learn about it, I kind of love it as well. But I definitely wouldn't want to do filmmaking without getting to act. So probably acting.
Of course, and that's the reason why you're going to filmmaking, because of acting, you know. So
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome, yeah. And so tell me, what is your greatest accomplishment as an actor and filmmaker so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, through creating my own work, I have been able to do some amazing things I probably couldn't have done if I was just acting and not being proactive and making my own content. So there's probably a couple. So the biggest one would probably be when I created with my partner our web series Social Murderer. And that was our first major project through Noah Films. And that was a web series, and it was just a huge project. And, you know, we were directing it, producing it, acting in it. And it went through web festivals worldwide, and it did so well, and it got so much recognition, which was just incredible, you know, not just for writing and the story, but also for acting, which was amazing. But acting-wise, I think my biggest accomplishment would be through a film I did last year through Noah Films called Perpetua. So that one Marshall wrote and directed, so all I had to do was act and do some producing. And that one I actually won my first acting awards for. That was in LA, also New York, and I was also nominated in London, which was very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you got London, New York, and LA, the three destinations. I mean, Sydney is one of them actually, so yeah. But, you know, 3 destinations where a lot of people go for acting. Good on you.
Definitely.
So, and that's awesome. Yeah, so let's talk about that Social Murderer, gig that you guys did. It was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, a couple of years ago now. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it was a social commentary. So it was just based on things that we had seen. So we would go out, me and Marshall, to a restaurant, and we'd see a couple, and they would be sitting there on their phones, not talking. And so it was and everywhere you go, you know, people are taking selfies or they're trying to record everything. And I was like, wow, you know, social media just consumes us so much. And so that was what it was all about. Just each episode centered on a different thing. And yeah, it was just a commentary on society.
Awesome. And you were actually the main star of that, weren't you? Or is it?
Yeah, so both Marshall and I were. So we had a running storyline that went through the whole series. So that was a very big job.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I've seen your posts here and there, not just in Facebook, but Instagram as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, these guys are actually winning some stuff here. So they're pretty legit. So that's awesome, you know. So it's one of those things, yeah, because when you have your own passion projects like that, you're in complete control. You know
exactly.
what I mean? So, I mean, correct me if you think I'm wrong, because I'm not a filmmaker, but, you know, the thing is, I do my own passion projects as well. But at the same time, money talks, and the person who actually came up with the script and who's in charge of the filmmaking process is actually in charge. So was it difficult for you, like, doing it for the first time, like, directing, producing, and all that stuff?
Yes, it was definitely difficult. Like, I'm glad that it was myself and Marshall, so it wasn't just like one of us, so we kind of had that network together. But it was a huge learning process. We worked with over 90 cast and crew throughout the entire series, and just, navigating, speaking to them as a producer and then as a director and then as a co-actor, it was so much to learn. But I'm so grateful for it because I've taken all those skills to my next projects. And I think it was just such a good first major project to do. And there were a lot of issues with it. Like, we had no budget, but it was a really great end product. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the ending that counts, because there's a saying about food, and it's not about it's about the recipes what you have and what you use about it. It's not about what recipes you have, but it's what you use with the ingredients. Okay,
yeah.
So that's the thing. You guys made got some ingredients, and the ingredients was also funding as a part of it. You guys made it happen somehow, because where there's a will, there's a way. So I'm pretty sure that you're aware that I may have told you this back in the day when I used to train you back in the park, is that my favorite drama movie is Once Were Warriors. And it's funny how, it's such a low budget film, only one or two actors got paid minimal wage on the whole thing. And everyone else was actually just doing it just for the sake of for the love of acting. But it turned out to be well. And that opened doors for a lot of actors who actually were, part of that thing. So it's a similar story, but maybe you haven't made it to that international stage just yet. But the thing is, you just have to keep going, because you never know. The people in Once Were Warriors, they've had gigs that are like yours, like they were successful, in the local markets and just the local festivals and whatnot. But it's just one of those things where you have to keep persisting. And not just persisting, but when you least expect it, kaboom! Your life just changes. You know what I mean? Because if you have a vision, it's one thing, but having a vision and pursuing that vision and through the thick and thin, that's even it's a must. It's a necessary evil. So for you to do that. So so good on you. And so when it comes to the social murderer, what is your favorite episode?
Oh, is it bad if I say my own?
No, it's not.
Honestly, it probably is, because that was the first episode I wrote. So originally, originally we just wrote the episodes. We hadn't cast anyone yet, but that one, it was just so fun to shoot because it's set at a party, and my character basically, she goes to this party. She's been in a bad place. She's trying to have a good time. And then a private photo of hers gets reposted around the whole party, and everyone's looking at their phones. They're staring at her, and then she runs out of the party. But it was so much fun because, we had 20 extras on set. I got to play around with the lighting. I took inspo from Euphoria, the TV show, with the purple lighting and everything. We had some awesome music going on in that episode. And it was just also because, I acted in that and I directed it at the same time. So, that was so much work, but it was such a unique experience switching in and out of acting, directing on the set. And we had some amazing costuming too. We got a designer on board, G-Tab, and she did so well, and the episode just looked amazing. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's one of those things where people are just being generous enough to help you fulfill the vision to come true.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and just, experience is the best teacher, because it's your first big project, and, it's one of those, moments where you just you don't know what you're doing just yet, not as much as you think you should, but, you keep at it. It's through trial and error, you know what I mean? So, and I always say to myself and people who I've trained in the past and the present is that experience is the best teacher. You know what I mean? Because now that I'm mentoring, some AIPT students now, because I'm a student mentor to some personal trainers, it goes hand in hand with acting. When I just said, hey, look, experience is the best teacher. I'm not the best teacher for them. It's experience.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about me learning the whole filmmaking side of things is now when I go into a set just as an actor, that's not my set. I know about these little things that's going to help the crew because I've been there. So, you know, whether it's sound or like knowing my cues or like, you know, just it's helped so much. And I feel like having that understanding of what it's like to be a crew member, it's really humbling, and it really helps you connect more when you go and you do acting as well.
Yeah, because you see it from a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
So, even though you're not a part of the behind the scenes stuff, like, you know, in the back of your head and your subconscious, you just like, okay, this happened because this and this and this, and then in order for this to happen, this had to happen, you know. So only you know what I'm talking about there, because it's you know, the process. It may be less stressful for you being on set that's not yours, and you're like, oh, phew. I mean, acting's easy compared to what these guys are doing. So and then we're the ones who are apparently more overpaid, you know, so compared to the crew. So but not yet anyway. I'm not that overpaid just yet, but yeah, because, you know, you tend to appreciate the process with other people's projects as well, you know, because, you know, the hard work and, you know, the sacrifice that you have to make, like sometimes lack of sleep, you know, just lack of like, you know, just losing concentration because of lack of sleep, and then you get edgy, you get like, you know, irritable, you know, just like Tom Cruise, like apparently, like, you know, some people went social distancing in that last bit of the latest Mission Impossible movie. You tend to get edgy because you just want to get it done, you know, because, like, you know, I don't know about you, but, you know, I consider my acting craft like my workout. Like, you know, I want to get it over and done with. Is that the same thing with you as well?
Yeah, to a degree. Like, I mean, like, I definitely have fun on set and I like to try different things, but definitely if it feels like, you know, things are dragging a little bit, you just want to get through it. Like, especially, I know how annoying it is, but I understand when you're acting and then the camera runs out of battery or something happens and like you have to keep getting back into the moment. That's really hard. But yeah.
I know. I mean, it could be worse, right?
Yeah, of course.
But at least it wasn't a rainy day when it's supposed to be a sunny day, or at least it wasn't storming, or none of the people in the crew or the actors or the extras got injured just there, or just got hurt. You know? So it could be worse. So no matter how hard you think you have it, or just no matter how stressful it is, it could be worse. You know, there's people all over the world, like, you know, who are dying to get into your position, just saying, hey, look, I want to be like that. I want to just have my own passion projects. I want to create my own passion projects. I want to audition for these big roles, and I want to get these big roles. You know what I mean? So there's other actors out there and filmmakers who are probably looking at you and me as individuals, just saying, hey, look, how did Miguel or how did Sangeetha get that far? You know what I mean? So you never know, because we may be considering sometimes, like, you know, I'm still a human being. I don't really compare myself to other people anymore, but sometimes I still do subconsciously. It's like, oh, how did they get there and stuff? You know what I mean? But then there's other people looking at us thinking, you know, well, how did Sangeetha get there? How did, you know, Miguel get there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But good on you, you know, so keep at it, you know, so it's, just always remember that the best is yet to come, and that's only true if you believe it. Okay. So tell us about, you know, the brief vision that you have for New Order Art House.
Yes. So Noah Films, I mean, our mission is really why we started it in the first place. And, you know, myself and Marshall, we're both actors of diverse backgrounds, living in Australia, working in the Australian film industry. And it was so much about, like, not having enough opportunities as a diverse actor, or, you know, getting stereotyped a little bit, or just wanting that freedom to play the leading man or the leading woman or something exciting. And so very much about creating our own opportunities, you know, creating stories that are both entertaining, that have meaning behind them, and being able to give opportunity to other diverse actors like ourselves who might not always get the chance. And just, you know, our industry is definitely changing, which is really exciting and amazing, but we just really want to fast track that through Noah Films and, you know, be a shining light in the industry for diversity and equal casting.
Yeah, look, I mean, I see where you're coming from in there because, like, of course, I mean, this is a Western world. I mean,
Yeah.
so you got a Korean film and cinema. It's only a bunch of Koreans, and you watch, like, you watch Hong Kong movies, old school Hong Kong movies, like I did. The white people were the bad guys, so the bad people quite often. So yeah, so of course, like, I know what you mean because this is a multicultural society.
Yeah.
I tend to know where you're coming from because obviously I don't really have that problem. Not to brag, but I didn't really have that problem like compared to other Asian male actors where they're like, a lot of guys will play the chef or the accountant or like there's something
The
nerdy.
doctor.
Yeah, just somebody who's just like more like the geeky type. That's a bit of a pushover, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
people listening to this and me that I've often played a cop or a soldier of some sort. I'm grateful for that, but I'm not going to brag about it. But I'm not saying that I'm lacking empathy to those other people. But I keep telling other people who are in that situation where they feel that way. Do whatever is in your control. Okay, so what you can do is something like what you and Marshall are doing at the moment. Just create your own passion projects. Try to audition for the gigs that you want to do, and if worse comes to worse, they say no, we don't have any brief for you. That's okay. Look, I mean, don't hate them for it. Just move forward and just try to find something else that suits you. You know what I mean? So yeah, but you're right. The good thing is it's changing. Of course, like I am for diversity only if it's necessary because that's just me, because not for the sake of it, but of course, like I'd like to. It's nice to have like people of different ethnicities and backgrounds because I'm obviously an ethnic myself. It would be hypocritical for me to say no, it shouldn't be ethnic stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, but stereotypes can be a bad thing or a good thing. So it can be a bad thing if you don't want to be labeled at that. But if you're proud of stereotypes, I mean, a stereotype that you have, or you've been pigeonholed as an actor, then there's nothing wrong with that. But it goes back to
I mean, like, with us too, like, and I've seen this a lot in the industry lately, is where they'll throw in diversity just for the sake of it. And that's very much not what we want. Like, so for example, if we write a character, we write a character, whatever personality they are, it's like, for us, we'll have any ethnicity can audition for that role. And whatever ethnicity gets it, though, of course, we'll tailor the role a little bit to suit whatever their background was. But it's not about adding diversity for the sake of diversity. It's giving everyone the equal opportunity to audition for a role. That's more what we're kind of going for here. Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, because I think when it comes for the sake of it, it doesn't sell. You can tell. I mean, I can tell anyway. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to get into the whole like debate here about political correctness. But the thing is, it's just like it's good in a way, but at the same time, like you don't have to force it. So,
I know.
Yeah,
and so much with that as well. Like when they throw in diversity for the sake of it, is like they still write a specific ethnicity for that diverse character, and I'm like, well, now you're discluding everyone else from different races, which is kind of the same thing in a way. So
because the fact is we can't please everybody. You and I as individuals, as an actor, you guys are filmmakers, we can't please everybody. So don't even trying to please everybody. Just focus to your vision. It doesn't have. You can make it diverse if you want to, or if you don't want to, that's up to you guys. Just do what you think is right for yourselves and your project. And because the thing is, if you stick true to your values and your character, you guys are going to be more successful in the long run because, nothing worse than somebody compromising. I'm not saying you guys compromising, but the thing is, when somebody else compromises, with their values or their standards and whatnot, I don't think people are going to go that far at all. You know what I mean? Whoever compromises with their values and their standards, you know what I mean? So so it's a good thing that you're not just adding like diverse casts for the sake of it, because it's unappealing. But the thing is, if it suits the thing, if it suits the storyline.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we really just do want to reflect Australia as we know it. I mean, I walk down the street in Sydney, there's a million different races, and we all have an Australian accent. That's just what we want to see on Australian TV.
Yeah, look, I mean, growing up in Parramatta, there wasn't many white people either. So, it was, I don't know, because it was a bit more prejudiced back then with different ethnicities. You'll be labelled and you'll be in the social hierarchy based on your ethnicity. But you know what? That's the first and second generation. I don't know about now because obviously I'm not living around that area anymore. I'm not a part of that, you know, current generation of teenagers and young people. So, you know, yeah, it'll be fine. You know, just as long as it suits the story. But you know, just stick to your vision, stick to your goals, and stick to your passions, and you guys will go a long way. Because nothing worse than a person in general. If I compromise, I'm devaluing myself. You know what I mean? So it just yeah. So I'm not perfect at that, but usually I don't compromise. You know what I mean? So yeah. But cool. All right, I support that, and you know, so there's many more gigs to come from your end, and just gotta keep at it. You know, awesome. And what other visions do you have? Like, you know, 'cause before I go into the proper next thing, what another vision do you have? Do you guys want to make it like, you know, like Happy Madison films, like, you know, because they all started small. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like at the moment, our stuff, it's been very indie films. So, you know, films you'll see at Sundance or Cannes, like the film festival, very real. So, you know, real stories with real people commenting on society, you know, that's where we started. And obviously that's where you kind of have to start as an independent filmmaker, being very raw because you don't have all the tools and the resources. But ultimately we'd love to make a series for some, you know, a streaming platform like Netflix or Amazon, something it's got the boldness of like a big TV show, but it's got heart and it's got story and good characters underneath. So,
of course, yeah. You know what? Yeah, those are the things that sparks the fire, right? When you have an idea, write it down. Don't show it to anybody else because somebody else may steal it, but they'll tweak it to make it look like it was their own original idea. And I was telling one of my former clients at the gym, you know, he's a filmmaker as well. Like, actually, no, he's actually a screenplay writer, and you know, he doesn't act or anything like that. But he told me, look, I want to show you my draft for my uni project because he was in his last semester before he fully graduates into a proper screenplay writer or storyteller. And I told him, yeah, look, as much as I want to check it out, until you finalized it, you copyrighted it, don't show it to me. Because that's not that you can't trust me, because what if it leaks? You never know.
Of course. Yeah, that's horrible.
Because I'm telling him that, look, I'm doing you a favor here as much as I support it. So once you've done that, send it to me and I will check it out. You know, and I'll give you my honest opinion about it. Because it's the same thing with you. You have a passion project, an idea comes up, write it down on a piece of paper, on your mobile phone, on your email. Don't show it to anybody else aside from you and Marshall, or maybe just people you trust. But the less, the merrier in this context. You know. So yeah, that's my advice to you on that one there. Yeah, cool. So are you guys more passionate about film or like TV series or like mini series?
I feel like TV series, honestly, because like a lot of our bigger ideas, they just tend to tailor towards TV series. And like, you know, with everything I watch these days, it often is a series. So I think that's more what we sort of tailor to, unless we're not auditioning, sorry, such an actor. Let me go back into my film brain. Unless we're submitting to film festivals, then definitely it's like short film, feature film. But I think the goal is definitely TV.
Oh, okay, well, stick to that vision. I'm the opposite. I love my feature films.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why, like, you know, it wasn't only until, like, you know, recently my brother actually shared his Netflix account with me, that I started getting into some, like, you know, TV series and whatnot. But yeah, I like it, but it keeps it intriguing because you want to know more and more and more, right? But if I had to choose one, which I already have chosen, feature films for me. That's just me, you know. So yeah, but good on ya. Okay, so the next question would be, okay, what is your favorite movie and why? I already know what this is, but let's tell me what it is from your thing, yeah.
So my favorite movie is The Shawshank Redemption.
I knew it.
How did you know?
No, because remember when I used to train you at the park, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to talk about our favorite movies, and I told you my favorite movie of all time is actually Training Day, where Denzel plays the crooked cop. And
Yeah.
when I asked you the same question, you're like Shawshank Redemption. You didn't even have to think about it. It's just
No,
like, yeah,
I don't. It's
I
the
believe
same,
you
the
because you didn't
same
have to
every
think about
time.
it. Yes, yes. It's been like, more than 20 years, probably even less since I've last seen that. I want to see if it's actually on
Oh,
Netflix. Yeah, but it's a very powerful movie, because
very.
obviously the saddest scene for me is that when that older guy actually gets out
Oh,
of
yeah.
prison and
Yeah.
he tried doing what he can to actually stay in the prison, right? And that's why
Yeah.
he tried to kill that guy. Not because he hated the guy, but he wanted to stay in prison because he knew that a society won't actually accept him. And
Yeah.
he gets out, and eventually, he just says, "Nah, goodbye, cruel world." And it's a very sad scene, And then I think I felt bad for him when his Raven wouldn't actually visit him anymore when he let him loose. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That was sad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is a sad thing. So yeah. So why is that your favorite movie?
It just had like the first time I watched it, I feel like I was 5 or 6 or something. And it just had such a profound impact on me. And, when I think about my filmmaking style and what I like, it's probably really aiming for something like that because, Shawshank, it had great acting, it had an incredible story, a great script, and the style of that voiceover that they use to tell the story, it really speaks to the writing side of me because, as much as I love acting, I also love writing, and writing has been with me since I was a kid. And so I feel like it just intertwines those so well, and the acting is so powerful as well. And the story, it's just incredible. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, for me, Morgan Freeman, almost anything with Morgan Freeman, it is actually a good thing, So yeah, he was
yeah.
one of the more prominent characters. And who's that other lead actor in that again? I can't remember
Oh,
what
his
his name is.
name, I think it's, oh,
Let me Google it up on my mobile
yeah.
phone. Yeah, so,
It's
yeah.
not coming to me. I think Tim something, maybe?
You could be right. I'm just Googling it up at the moment with my mobile phone. Just give me a second. But yeah, so it's an all-time classic. It's one of those movies that just, you could talk about it 20, 30 years from now.
And I think also it's so triumphant. Like, so many movies end pretty darkly, especially these days. And that movie just had such a triumphant ending, and it was so powerful.
Wow, it's actually a 9.3 out of 10 in IMDb, and that's probably the biggest score I've ever seen in IMDb. 91% in Rotten Tomatoes, and 81 on Metacritic. So I never even heard that thing yet. So yeah, I think it says, I think it's probably Andy Fuse,
Yeah, yeah.
Andy Dufresne.
I think that's the character's name. I think
Actually,
Andy's,
Robbins. Yeah, Robbins. Yes, Robbins. It only
yeah.
comes across as Robbins in Google. Yeah, so it's kind of weird, how this turns up. The guy I think the older guy who actually killed himself in that movie is Bob Gunton, Warden Norton. I think that's what his name is. Let's double check. Oh no, it's not him. That's. Oh, well, I'll look it up later. So yeah.
You can
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
it later.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's how long is it? 2 hours and 22 minutes. Okay, so I think that's 22 minutes worth of 5 minutes worth of credit time. Like the credits. Yeah, so probably 10 minutes. Yeah, so it's going to be worth my time. But hopefully I don't fall asleep because it's not that I'm getting old, but I've been having this problem since I was a teenager. Like I'm that relaxed, just watching my favorite movie or TV show, and all of a sudden I'll be like 8:30, 9:30, 8 o'clock or 9:30 or something like that, or even earlier. I'll be like that. And the only thing I'm pissed off about is like, oh damn it, I wanted to watch that. So it's just that your body can't lie. Your body's telling you rest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you guys have that problem, you and Marshall?
Oh yeah, because especially during social murder, I used to just work. I worked so many hours a week on that project, and I wouldn't take breaks. And so I think I just crashed at the end of it. Like that's what my body tends to do. So nowadays I make sure I'm taking rest every single week, so I just avoid that burnout. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even realize you're doing that as well. Because,
Yeah.
like, I was doing the same thing. Like, I was obsessed with, like, self tapes. Like, it was just a couple of months ago. I had to cancel, like, going to acting class on a Sunday, and I just still paid my acting coach, even though it's a group class. And I didn't feel well. Like, I'm eating breakfast, I feel like I'm going to faint, only because I come home, and I'm practicing scripts because I was obsessed with it. And I was forgetting to have fun as an actor. And it became an obsession, because,
Yeah.
yeah, because, like, don't forget, it shouldn't be an obsession. It should be a passion. And
Yeah.
that's why, like, when you have passion for it, when you're using your passionate side about it, you end up, like, having more fun, and you tend to produce better results in general.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Because, with Noah Films, we were creating project after project at the beginning. So literally, we had about 3 years where we were just creating nonstop. And so by the end of that 3 years, I'd started to almost resent it a little bit and dislike it. And I was like, this isn't right. This isn't what I want. And it was because we weren't taking a break. So we had a really large break. And now coming to the end of it, I'm excited again, to start creating new content. So yeah, we definitely needed that break.
Yeah, because it's a mental thing as well. It's a psychological thing, because if your mind is affected, a lot of things can be affected, because if you're going through under chronic stress, I'm talking here as a personal trainer now, I just an actor, but, because chronic stress, like, it doesn't lead to good results in general. Like, that can include your workout, that can include falling asleep or staying asleep. Even, like, when you're working, you can be distracted, so yeah, you need to recharge your acting batteries, because of course, like, your acting muscles actually. So yeah, acting skills is one of those things. It's like a muscle. You have to keep practicing it. You have to keep practicing monologues, different, dialogue, two scene pages, even self tapes. It's something you keep doing in order for you to get good at it. And one of the things that I can tell that you can relate to this is that instead of trying to have fun, you try to perfect it, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then last week's acting class at Sydney Actors Association, acting coach Sam Haft actually said, "Hey guys, don't forget risk over acting." Okay, so if you're acting, it's fictional in your head. It's going to come across that way. But if you're believing in the moment, you're taking a risk just by going for it. You often produce slightly better results, or even much better results when you do that.
Yeah.
So I was talking to my mum about it. Like, during that time, I said, "Mum, because I don't open up about these things to a lot of people. Like, a lot of times not even to my parents or even my mum. But it's just that I told her, look, I'm just so burnt out. Like, I want to be like on fire. I want to be passionate, but I just can't because I'm just so burnt out." And so when you're forgetting to have fun, you tend to take it too seriously. It's an obsession. It's an unhealthy thing. It's an unhealthy thing. And one of the things that I tend to do, you might actually relate to this as well, is that before you started in acting, like, you probably just, like, were so excited, right? Because, like, you haven't been hurt before, you haven't been rejected before and whatnot. And you just tend to be just like, oh man, I want to be an actor. I want to make it to the bright lights. I want to make it to the big leagues. I want to be a household name. And that's the only vision you have of yourself. And then, you go through so much rejections and you start taking it personally in the beginning. You don't feel that you're worth it. You don't feel like you're worthy to be it. And, when you stick at it, the more you become thick-skinned. So what I'm trying to say is that, in the beginning, sometimes I'm trying to get that passion. Like, it's passion, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm still very passionate about it. But that childlike passion, like, it's just like, when you first started, you had nothing to lose. You just, like, you want to go for it. It's that kind of fun and that kind of attitude that you had. When you tend to get that inner child out of you, when you're actually filmmaking, or when you're just acting, or when you're just auditioning or self-taping, you tend to produce better results.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get that. That's why sometimes I'm watching those movies that inspired me to do it. So it's like, I remember this. It's so nostalgic. Like, this is the kind of movies I want to start, and that's how I prevent myself from getting discouraged, and that's how I get that fire back. sometimes, because when I feel like I'm burnt out, okay, I remember watching this movie and I felt so inspired just watching it, you know what I mean? So, just one of those movies like, if I had to name one, like Training Day,
Yeah.
Minority Report, just when I was 18 and my last year in high school at year 12, and I'm watching those movies like that during that era that just sparked that fire and just like, yeah, I want to do it. This is what I'm meant to do, because you and I have caught the acting bug, and the acting bug, if you really have caught it, it cannot be cured, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly, right. So yeah. So tell me, like, what have you learned in that lesson? Like, when you feel burnt out, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, now I've really committed to a routine, eating right, exercising, making sure I get a good amount of sleep, and also having time off each week, I find is really crucial to not leading to me to a breakdown or something. Yeah, and when I am taking those days off, I really try to take myself away from that whole acting and filmmaking, because I tend to especially because I'm with Marshall and he's my filmmaking partner as well. I want to talk about the work, I want to talk about, business and like what we're doing, our new projects. And so I realized I just have to completely take myself out of that and, go travel somewhere as well. That really helps me actually getting out of my house and out of my workspace. And going somewhere on a nice trip, south or north, that really does help me a lot as well.
And that's one of the things about being an actor, right? You have to actually get out of your comfort zone so often, what I mean? Because not a lot of, I don't think there's any non-actors will actually, will actually understand that. But maybe entrepreneurs or athletes, we have to get out of our comfort zone. So how do we, I mean, what do I mean by that is that, just going to another city, going to another location and getting up extra early just to get there on the call time, and adapting to a new scene. So one scene could be like, very happy. Then the next scene you're going to be filming could be like something sad or depressed. Like your character wants to kill himself or herself. Just you have to adapt. You know what I mean? And quite often, like just being a filmmaker, it's just you definitely have to get out of your comfort zone. So in some ways, like the cast and crew. They're underappreciated because like they're the ones who stay back, like at the end of the day, and they're the ones who get extra early to make sure that the actors are actually ready and actors are actually just looked after. So I think they're underappreciated. So but it is what it is. But if they was up to me, I'd reward them even more. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones who are just taking their health to extreme lengths just to make sure that and that's why sometimes you see people in the cast and crew, I mean maybe more like the crew, they're irritable or edgy because towards the end or more than halfway through the project they're just like, leave me alone, or just I want to get this over and done with, it's the endurance thing. So we've got to find a way to make them feel more appreciated, or
we do.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah. All right. So one of the last questions I'm going to ask you here. So who are the actors who inspire you up to this day? And why?
Ooh, okay. I have quite a few, but I tend to be led more towards British actors. I just feel, because British actors, they're trained in theatre as well, so they just have this great ability to show so much on screen without needing to yell or without even needing to say anything. And I feel like that's very much a reflection of how I like to act and how I do my acting. So some of them would be Ralph Fiennes, Anthony Hopkins, and Helen Mirren. They're like some legends, and they've worked for so many years. They have this great quality about them. They have this like fire and this, they're not afraid to get lost in these different big roles, but then come back to themselves. And I really love that. But yeah, it would definitely be British actors. But also there's an actress, her name is Alicia Vikander. So she was actually in the new Tomb Raider, but I didn't watch that. So I've watched a lot of her films, and she's also got that quality. So she's Swedish, I believe, and I just love her acting and the way she does things. I watched so many of her films, like Ex Machina. She was in The Danish Girl, Light Between Oceans, and she's just amazing to me. Like, definitely an inspiration.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. Well, Anthony Hopkins, I can see where you're coming from in there and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So Ralph Fiennes or Fiennes, I don't even know.
He's
Yeah, he
amazing.
played well as what's his name, Hades in Clash of the Titans and Wrath of
Yeah.
the Titans. Yeah. So he can play that godlike type of role, just like
Yeah.
Liam Neeson played Zeus in both of those movies. You know. So yeah. But you know, to me, he was actually more of a standout to me in Schindler's List when he played that one of the Nazis. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and he was a standout to me in the Daniel Craig era of James Bond because he was like he was one of the guys working at MI6.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not big on the guy, but I appreciate his acting skills. Because he's one of those guys who are like very good actors, but somewhat underappreciated. He doesn't
Yeah.
yeah, but British actors,
Yeah.
like, let's go back to British acting, because I can tell, like, because it's very different to the way Hollywood
Very,
is.
very different.
Because,
Yeah, because like I do we do our self tapes to practice, and then when I've done the American accent, I had I don't know if it was a teacher or maybe one of my agents, and they were saying that I needed to be more energetic. I needed to speak faster. Like a lot of American TV shows are, but when I do the British accent or British scenes, I just feel like I fall into it so much more. Like, I feel like that's really my style of acting. Yeah.
Yeah, look, each to their own. I can see where you're coming from because remember, you were born in England. I mean, I'm
Well, I
reminding you.
mean, yeah.
I'm reminding you about that. So yeah, yeah, because like what I'm talking about with the British film industry, right? I mean, they don't put good looks first; they put acting skills
Yeah,
first, and that's
yeah.
why, in a lot of ways, I mean, acting skills come to play. Of course, like Hollywood has a different type of marketing. Like it's all about good looks first, then maybe to a certain extent, then your acting skills come second, you know what I mean? So yeah, but the times I've watched like British movies, yeah, they're like ordinary looking people. They don't look like a lot of them don't look like models or like
Yeah.
or like pretty boys or pretty girls and whatnot. They just look like people you're just gonna see down the street. In some ways, I could actually appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
28 Days Later is one of them movies. So what else is there? I was watching The Gentleman just in the past few days, and I can't believe I haven't seen that movie until now. And I'm just like, whoa, I cannot wait to watch this movie again. And Hugh Grant's character, as it was
Yeah.
playing a Cockney guy, and well, not just that, Colin Farrell. Those are the two guys who actually impressed me the most. I'm not saying Matthew McConaughey and the other actors didn't impress me, but those are the two guys who actually stand out for me.
Yeah.
So because I've never
Yeah.
seen Hugh Grant play that kind of like that. I wouldn't say he's a sinister character. He's not a. He's usually playing that heartthrob in his early
Yeah.
movie days, like the rom-com kind of stuff. But to see him like as somewhat of like a thug or a bad guy, it's just refreshing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and with a Cockney accent compared to his
Yeah.
compared to his usual posh accent in his previous films, like 2 Weeks Notice and what do you call it, Love Actually.
Love Actually, yeah.
Yeah, like he's always playing those the heartthrobs with the posh accent, So yeah, what else is there? Michael Caine is another good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
And
definitely.
he played Austin Powers' like father very good in Austin Powers 3, Gold Member. I liked him there, even though he's a bit cheeky. I was surprised that he played that role very well because he's usually
Yeah.
playing that elegant or just like that serious older guy, So yeah. Who else is there? Who's a good British actor? There's a lot of them. Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy, So
Yeah,
of course,
definitely.
Tom Hardy's like. Some people don't like him, some people do, but I like him. May not be the best actor in my books, but at the same time, like he's just appealing to me in a way that I like a lot of his work, like the first Venom movie or Warrior. What else is there? The Bronson movie, the Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
Movie. Yeah, he was actually very psychotic there, and I'm just like, whoa. I mean, never seen him play that done a like psychotic character before, you know. So yeah. And what about Judi Dench? Does she actually
Yeah,
inspire you as
yeah.
well?
Yeah, I mean, she's up there definitely. Like, she's another one who's acted for so long, and she's just an icon. I mean, so many of these guys are like they're older, so like they have been acting for a long time, and I think that's why I do look up to them as well because they have that experience, and also so many of them have done stage, and I feel like doing stage as an actor can really give you more depth in your even in your TV acting. That's what I found personally.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, because of course, like stage has a different type of training and different type of approach. You know, because it's the same sport but different rules. Just like rugby league and rugby union, same sport, different rules, same
Yeah,
sport. You know what I mean? So there's things that you do in theatre in the middle of an audience,
yeah,
in the middle of a performance, but there's things that you do and don't do as well in film. You know, so if I had to pick one, I'm more passionate about film. I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure you're the same thing.
yeah.
But
I am definitely, but I still have a love for stage and Shakespeare, and definitely in my career in the future, like TV is absolutely the number one, TV and film. But I would love the opportunity to do play in London in the future. I think that would be just amazing.
hey,
Yeah.
look, you're a British citizen. Just go for it. You know,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, just do
Dual
it.
citizenship.
Yeah, just do it. Make the most out of it. You know, if I
Yeah.
would play the role of James Bond myself, like wouldn't mind flying all the way to England if I have to. You know what I mean? Or just even if we had to film London scenes here, pretending to be London here in Sydney, I don't mind doing it. But if not, it's okay. Like that's my dream role, actually, James Bond, to play James
Yeah.
Bond. You know, so yeah, it's just may or may not come true, but it's okay if I don't play that role. There's other roles that's going to suit me anyway. You know what I mean?
Always,
It's just
yeah.
that I've adapted that James Bond theory in real life, like not just in my acting skills. Like learn to develop my James Bond character. Now that I'm getting older, like I'm 2 years away from being 40. It's just I have to.
You don't look it.
Appreciate that, yeah. But I don't feel like it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't feel like it either. So it's just I feel like I'm just getting more, like I wouldn't say I'm as youthful on the inside, but I just feel like I'm just progressing more, developing my character more, my emotional masculinity more. And then I learned that from this lady, because I don't normally like listen to ladies who are giving dating advice for guys because they don't know what it's like to be a guy. But there's a few ladies, and I can't remember what her name was. She's actually a pom lady. She actually told me like she was encouraging older guys, look, guys, just because you're getting older, it doesn't mean you're losing their appeal. Because remember, there's a lot of things that older guys possess that women find attractive, like confidence, knowledge, experience, and being stoic in the middle of a panicky situation. These are the things that older men possess, and that women find attractive. And if you could emulate one fictional character, is James Bond. So she said, so do this from now on, gents. Develop your James Bond characters in real life, and it just stood by me since then. It's because now I understand why, like, although his character is fictional, I can understand why, like, the ladies in the movies that are with him, or even the ladies who are watching him, love that character because they find him attractive because of his emotional masculinity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, some ladies, like, I'm not going to name their names, they find him sexist or somewhat of a misogynist. But the thing is, he can't please everybody. But the thing is, majority of the ladies I know find his character attractive. I mean, would you find his character attractive?
I mean, I haven't watched too many of the films, so I feel like I can't give an opinion yet.
Okay, so
But I mean, like, I can see it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, because remember, like, James Bond is similar to myself. He's not an alpha male. I'm not an alpha male. I'm a sigma. A sigma male is actually like a lone wolf, somebody who's just likes to be on his own, and somebody who just sticks to his purpose, and somebody who's just doesn't talk much. You know what I mean? Like outside of social media and outside, like if I don't click with people, you know me, I don't talk much. I don't say much. Because I don't like boasting in general. But you know, it's when you said that, those English actors like who inspire you and stuff like that. Of course, like if there's one like I said to you before, like a fictional character, it's James Bond who actually
Yeah.
inspires me. But you know, he's not the perfect person, but it's just there's some things that a lot of guys can emulate and stuff like that from in real life or even in their acting skills, you know. So yeah. And so what are your closing thoughts? Do you have any closing thoughts to the audience? You know what I mean? Like, you know, for actors who feel like they're struggling or somebody who's just feeling discouraged, what would you like to say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say anyone who's looking to do acting or, you know, looking to do acting and feels like they're not getting overlooked or not getting enough opportunities is just don't be afraid to create something or go network and meet people, because there's people out there who want to make stuff too. And once you connect with them and you start creating, like, that's really going to make you happy. And I think as well is just to develop your mindset, because that's what drives you as a person and drives you, is going to get you through the hard times and the good times. And then if you just take the time to strengthen that mindset, I think it's really going to help you. Because a lot of people might overlook it and they, you know, focus on the acting, focusing on the film. But once you get that right, that's going to help absolutely everything around you.
That's true, because, like, you know, I keep telling people, not just as an actor, but as a personal trainer as well, the mind is the strongest part of your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if that's weak, hypothetically, if my mind is weak, I'm weak. If my mind is strong, I'm going to be strong. You know, so
Yes. Yeah.
mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah, mental health and
Yeah.
psychological, like, you know, advantage. Like, you know, just from a guy's perspective, anyway. Like, you know, developing my emotional masculinity, it has to be much. You know, so I don't know how that can relate to the ladies. I mean, the ladies can have their own different opinion, like different aspect of that. But, you know, just you got to develop your mind, whether you're a guy or a girl. You know what I mean? Because this is the kind of industry, like, even before you make it, even after you make it, is that, you know, you have to have a strong mind, because, like, before you make it, you're going to have a lot of naysayers. You're going to have a lot of people putting you down. And there's going to be a lot of people who are just going to say, Sangeetha, Miguel, you're never going to make it, blah, 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 blah. All that BS, you know, negativity and whatnot. You know, but the thing is, do you let yourself get discouraged, or are you going to keep moving forward and shrug them off and just distance yourself away from those types of people? Yeah, like, I mean, this is one of the things that I've learned to do over the years, is that, you know what, I've learned to stay away from those people, you know.
Yeah,
especially when
because that's definitely the other thing about it, is you are who you surround yourself with. And, you know, you've got to have the right people around you, and if they're, you know, not really giving much to you or being negative, you really have to distance yourself, because it's going to affect your mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to affect your mind and the way you do things, you know, because a lot of things, like, you know, it's going to be your subconscious if you just keep thinking, oh, maybe they're right or maybe they're wrong. You don't do that, you know, because, like, there's a reason why, like, you know, it all depends, not just with people, maybe a location, you know, because I'm not saying that everybody should do what I did. Like, you know, when I used to live around your area, when after a setback, I decided to move to the North Shore, and just, like, you know, this is where I belong now, because this is where I'd rather be, because, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, and there's a big sense of entrepreneurial culture here, but it's not the be all or end all for everybody, but it is for me so far. And I choose to stick by my decision and stuff like that. So, yeah, so, you know, it's different though, but I prefer the atmosphere here over, like, you know, just the West in general. But that's just me. There's good and bad things about the West, and there's good, bad things about North Shore. So,
like everywhere.
Cons, just like everywhere, yeah. So, you know, one of the cons side of living in the North Shore, it's more expensive. You know, so so it's money's not everything, expenses aren't everything, but, you know, I'm willing to sacrifice that, you know. So but you have to surround yourself. But it sounds like you're on the right track, and you just got to keep doing what you're doing, and just don't lose heart. So don't ever give up on your dreams until the day you die, because, like, you're the only one who could believe in yourself more than anybody else, you know. So you got your family who believes in you, but you have to believe in yourself even more.
Exactly.
Because like, you know, you're in charge of your own thoughts, your actions, and your choices, and stick to what you can control. So good on you. So all right. So we're gonna end that there. That's episode number 6, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you haven't done so, please press the like and subscribe button if you've actually watched this on YouTube, and share this if you like. That'll be greatly appreciated, because my vision is for this podcast is to share people like actors like Sangeetha's story out there and get you guys to know what they were about and how they got started. Yeah, and I hope you appreciate that. Yeah, until the next video, guys, please stay tuned for the next one, episode number 7. Take good care of yourselves, and adios.